Hello, everybody. Welcome, Simon.
Hello. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see the people in the chat
Then
as
you,
well.
yeah, yeah. So thanks for the foreigner sat. And now what we're going to talk about is the mythical beast
Thanks for the
called
foreigner
troll.
chat.
Well,
And now what we're going to talk about is the mythical beast. Thanks for the foreigner chat. Oops. My YouTube thing went weird. YouTube went
I didn't
boom.
even put my YouTube on mute.
I did the same
Hey,
thing
Russ
here.
Haven. Hey, David. Hey, Beth.
Hello, everybody. Now let's talk about trolls. Although we don't mean the ones that are the idiots that are causing people upset at the moment.
Yeah. The trolls are the mythical creatures we're talking about this week. The first trolls are from the Scandinavian for the Norse mythology.
Yeah.
And yeah, and
from the Beowulf mythology,
yeah,
Grendel was a troll.
Yeah, and some people said Grendel was also a dragon too. So there's a disagreement on Beowulf on the Grendel part.
I think when at the end, I think it was at the end when Beowulf went into his barrow to hunt a dragon. It was a totally different thing to what Grendel was. So I think some people might have got it twisted.
Grendel's mother was a hag or a witch that could transform.
Kind of reminds me of my old English teacher, but let's not go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, in those days, anybody who was a Wiccan, and anybody who was old or had any disability whatsoever was made to look like a witch.
Yeah.
It wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the Norse mythology of the pearls, Scandinavian folklore is they're like a giant because they're big.
Mm-hmm.
They're monstrous in size, possessing magic powers, hostiles to man. They live in castles and haunted around their surrounding area for food and all that. And when they were hit by sunlight, they burst into flame or they turned into stone.
That's where, of course, J.R.R. Tolkien got his idea for the trolls in The Hobbit.
Hi, Amanda. How are you doing? Yeah.
And by the way, trolls in England were supposedly under the fairy tale supposed to live under bridges.
Hey, Solstice.
Hello, Solstice. Hey, Amanda. Me and Amanda were having a good chat on Facebook earlier. She's a very nice girl.
Yeah. Yeah, what you said about Tolkien borrowed the inspiration from the Scandinavian folklore.
Of course, in Lord of the Rings, they had cave trolls as well,
Yeah,
and that also came
and they're more.
from the Scandinavian, where some places that they did have
Mhm.
caves, they were thought to have trolls in. But a lot of it was
Well,
actually to do with falling rocks and so on.
yeah, in the later period, the tails they are often man-sized or smaller. Live.
So Amanda said, I didn't mean to interrupt, it just made me laugh.
Man, they live in mountains, and sometimes steal human maidens.
Well, in Britain, there's something called, and Ireland was called the Sith or Sithy, right? Which is basically the Fae. In the old
Uh,
in the old days, they used to say that if a baby was misshapen when it was born, that it was a
mhm,
changeling, that the fairy took the baby into the fairy world, and they left a changeling in response.
mhm. Hey Terry,
Hey Terry, oh yeah, have fun.
yeah, have fun, Terry.
If this house is a rocking, don't bother knocking.
The Celtic settlement or Celtic borrowed on the Central's usually Scandinavian
Yeah,
Celts, in the settling area. They call trolls who are
trolls with the yeah.
OWS.
The trolls with the Celtic origin
Mhm.
were morphed into hobgoblins, elves, and mind you, I think also the Scandinavians also had elves, but it's a different type of elves. Over here in Britain, we have something called pixies and elves, which are small fairy-like creatures.
They said that the trolls in the settling area is usually a pair of small, malign creatures who dwells in mounds or by the sea.
But what people don't realise, all these things with trolls and everything could be remembered memory of people who saw at that time Neanderthals and other things from way back, and the original prehistoric humans. Hello, it's Terry, and it could be one of those things. What do you
Yeah,
call folk memory? If you know what I mean.
it kind of reminds me of those mounds or hillocks, like the Hobbit
Yeah,
stories of the Hobbits and J.R.R. Tolkien.
yeah. The barrows there that he was dying about is because at one time Britain used to be covered in Bronze Age barrows, for people who were well off,
Mhm.
who were buried. And also in Scandinavia around that same time, they were doing the same thing, burying ships, burying them under mounds. And when they had that thing in the Lord of the Rings, where they had the ghosts in the barrows, that was supposed to be
Mhm.
representation of spirits of the people in the barrows. The Scandinavians also used to call them Drauga.
Hey, Super
You know?
Dave.
I was just wondering, David, if you counted pixies, was it while you was on the magic mushrooms? Yeah,
Well,
oh,
there's three of Davids in the house. Woohoo!
yeah. Oh, I bet you're a sweet little people.
Um, Trolls
I mean,
are
yeah.
portrayed as destructive or live under bridges to menace travelers and extract tasks and tolls for people to pass, which is why we got the book story of the three
There
Billy
is
Goat
actually a
Gruffs.
tale. There is a tale of a troll by the name of Cutty Dyer, which is just over across the river the tale comes from,
Mhm.
where he goes under a bridge. He's on a bridge and goes up and intercepts villages and kills them, slits their throats, and all sorts. If they don't pay his toll. It's to do with that one, which is probably a layover from another myth that was about trolls again. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because you see, Devon and Cornwall was also quite badly hit by the Danish invasions. So, and of course, with the Danes came over the Scandinavian myths.
Yeah, the from the Swedish folklore is that the trolls are believed as nature being,
Hmm.
more like fairies and pixies and all that.
Very much like an
And they,
elemental spirit.
yeah, and Warhorse told said this about earlier this week about the little people as fays. They called them little people, and trolls are they said are fays or little people.
City of the city, as the Irish used to call them, right?
Yeah,
Was basically people that were the
hmm
fairies that would come out from the ground, you know,
yeah,
and from the fairy world and go out. And if they see a
mhm,
baby they like under the legend, they would actually leave a changeling and take the baby into the fairy world. That's what the legend is.
yes. I got some of them, Dave.
What is still Super David talking about?
Uh, he's a grow 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 growing YouTube channels, and I made some friends over at his
Well, that's
channel.
good. I
Yeah,
mean, trolls is not just. I mean, trolls as a thing. They have them up in Russia too.
hmm
The troll things. But I think they're smaller and talk like gnomes and so that's where you got the gnomes from Russia, Poland, Eastern Europe.
hmm
And then they came over to Britain at some point as well.
yeah. Some of the what what literature that borrowed the trolls folklore. We always talk about J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit and that. You have Billy Boat, the three Billy Goat Gruffs
Yeah.
with the troll under the bridge, and then you have in games like Dungeons and Dragons, the computer
Also, the
fantasy
Narnia
game.
books had giants, which are supposed to be the grown up
Yeah,
cousins of trolls.
yeah, and the Jack and the Beans, the latest Jack and the Beanstalk movie they have, the giants look more like trolls.
We're not talking about those trolls, we're talking about the Fae and the spirit trolls. the mythical beast. I always wondered whether these trolls and so on were people talking about, let's say, apes from, because I know we know the Vikings travelled to Africa.
Yeah.
Whether they were talking about the big
Mhm.
apes. Because you don't know, do you?
Yeah. Many of the books that they're talking about the trolls or have something that's similar to trolls, like Harry Potter, Beowulf, Midsummer's Night Dream, or things
Yeah.
like that. You have, hey, Freaky.
Oh no, freaky! We're talking about the mythical beasts known as
No,
trolls.
you know, like the horror movies and all that, books and fantasy.
Relation to trolls are gremlins.
Yeah.
I have to admit that film,
Or,
The Gremlins, was funny, especially the
or
female
goblins.
one with
Or goblins.
goblins, hobgoblins as well.
Or bugbears. Or orcs.
Yeah, there's a few dorks out there, but we're not talking about orcs, are we?
Yeah. And Orgus. Or, I can't
Yeah,
say OGRE. Org.
the whole cousins done. They used to live underneath the bridges. That's what Freaky used to say.
Yeah, that's true, Dave.
Did you know what they used to do on Dartmoor, right? Which is a moorland near me. If you got the yes, I said dorks, but not in a dirty way. I took out dorks as idiots.
Yeah,
He's got a dirty mind tonight, I'm going to tell you.
there's something that Warhorse said that's probably true with any of these beings like trolls, pixies, fairies, you name it. Because if
What is
yeah,
Freaky talking about? Is
hey
he?
Eli.
Well, one of the things to do with this with the stuff like that, the old magic, the fae.
Yeah,
Sometimes as well with the big barrows and the ogres, you used to get something called walking skeletons called Draugr.
yeah. There I was saying something that's the one thing that me and Warhorse agree on is that if everything were mischievous or on the bad side in everything, like trolls,
Mhm.
goblins, you name it, then everything would be in chaos and there won't be any balance. You have to have a
Yeah,
balance.
trolls and demons are totally different things.
Yeah,
Demons, orcs, pixies, gnomes, even down to the so-called elemental spirits. They're all to do with nature. It's not to do with
yeah,
demonics. Demonics is totally different things. Demonics comes from where there are spirits that were never human that came up from hell onto the
mhm.
earth.
Well, what I mean is there's a balance in nature.
Yeah. If one has too much of the other,
Yeah,
nature's out of balance. It's the same with humanity and the earth at the moment.
yeah. So all these creatures like trolls and that have to have a balance.
Yeah.
You have good
That's what
and bad.
someone said to me the other day, and I do believe in it. That there's
Yeah,
a reason why the pandemic, I'm not going to say the word because you could get you in trouble with YouTube, right? That the pandemic is here to even the balance.
yeah. Like what I was saying that with these trolls and goblins and everything is
Mhm.
that you have to have a balance in nature, or everything would be out of loop. We would have all these car classes after car classes, or plane classes after plane classes every 15 minutes or something like that. But you have to have some balance.
It's the same in the natural world when there's been levels of extinctions and
Hmm.
then rebirth of new animals becoming
Hi,
dominant.
Elizabeth.
And so on, it's the same thing. The world
Hmm.
has a natural balance and cycle. Is Freaky losing the plot tonight?
Huh?
Has Freaky lost the plot? Or has he always been like this?
Freaky's just being freaky.
Freaky, I love you to death. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a balance. It have to be balanced, or we're be living in chaos all the time.
A lot of the science fiction fantasy books also
Mhm.
have these things with gnomes and all the and trolls and all the rest.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, they say, a lot of it, they go away because the magic's gone from the world.
Hmm.
It's a lot of these elementals about because
Ah,
humans
there's.
originally believed in them.
I hope I pronounce it a soil.
The soil Spitfire or welcome Warhorse
I
or Seal or
hope I
Osiris.
said it. I hope I said it right.
But you see, in some of the books, and I agree with it here, right?
Hmm.
As humans grew to be less superstitious and more scientific, a
Hmm.
lot of the magic went out of the world. And what we
Yeah.
imagined there was more power in our minds at the time, we could
Hmm.
have easily have made these beings from ourselves to make them
Yeah.
appear because in the old days we used to have a much more power in our minds than what we used to,
Hmm.
you know? And
Yeah.
some of the ones we see now, the elementals still see, are probably the remnants of what the ancient peoples thought about,
Hmm.
or what they came about as the world was more magical.
Hmm.
Yeah. Excuse me, I saw a unicorn the other day. It was taking the washing out, the laundrette, and putting it out to dry. Even though the Who's are in trouble with the pecs, obviously, but that was a terrible joke. I couldn't hurt that one.
Yeah.
But it's the truth in life. The more
Hmm.
human beings as they grow up, right, from the
Hmm.
world, and then it's about science and taught about science and mathematics and physics and all this stuff, the more we lose the magic in the world,
Hmm.
you know? I'm not saying that we shouldn't educate the kids, but we also tell the kids sometimes there's more to life than science.
Yeah. Sometimes
That's
science can help preserve nature too.
yes. It's
See,
also
there's
things
a
like
balance right there.
yeah. That's why sometimes these people are so hyper unbelieving when they come across these nature spirits in their houses, be it trolls like figures or
Hmm.
imps or even done anything to do with the
Hmm.
supernatural. They freak out. And
Yeah.
probably, truth of the matter is, they're probably freaking out because there's a human in their house. And they probably
Hmm.
want that exterminated out of the way because they're
Yeah.
scared of humans. You know? I always wanted to know, always wondered that.
I believe it means hello, freaky.
Yeah. I was wondering, Spitfire, if you think about it, if you go to a ghost house and you move in there,
Yeah.
Are we the ghosts or the elementals to them?
Uh, it's probably because we're invading their space because it was their house that they used to live in, and they
So
just
basically, we're haunting them, and they're
yeah,
haunting us. So it's something a bit like
yeah,
that. It's
yeah.
the same with the troll myths and everything else. Everybody thought that they were haunting us, right? It could easily be the form of early man, these trolls, right?
Hmm.
We go thing, and we hunted them out because we were scared of the trolls,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's kind of we should put ourselves in the place of the trolls, pixies, fairies, gnomes, or you name it, Bigfoot or the ghosts and that, and we move into their place that they live in
Yeah.
for a long time, and you disrupt their living space.
Of course, they're going to be pissed.
Yeah, they will be pissed.
Not only that, in some of the books, right?
Hmm.
In the the fantasy books, a lot of the Fae do not like steel or iron. And what is a lot of houses made out of? Iron nails, iron hinges, window latches, even iron
Hmm.
stoves in the old days. Is it Hawaii?
Nope.
Hmm. Hawaiians have got their own version of blooming trolls. I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah, they have their own belief systems and that, and their gods and all that.
The
Their
Indonesians
tikis.
actually found that they got a lot of trolls and different things over in Indonesia, right?
Hmm.
Like that. And they recently found in an archaeological dig
Hmm.
a a species of human, which is they called the Hobbit now. It's
Hmm.
really short, very much like the Congolese pygmies, And they say that's the background to all the troll things in the world because there's these very small
Hmm.
people are everywhere at one time.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, every culture
Yeah,
has something different about it in so many
yeah.
ways. Of course, USA had its own troll in Congress, and it was called Donald Trump, but that's another thing altogether. Do you think I'm going to go to hell for that one?
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
the the Scooby Doo movie was about a place. It was called Spooky Island. It definitely wasn't Hawaii. Rolling on the floor laughing their ass off.
yeah,
Yes.
they they use it in the Brady Bunch TV show too when they went to Hawaii. They said he's Tiki. Hi, Linda.
Tikis though are not Hawaiian. They're New Zealander. They come from the Maori people. Tikis are supposed to be the ancestors of the Maori who come down to protect them. They carved out a nephrite or
Yeah.
jade, their idols.
Uh, these every culture have the different version of the trolls, like you said.
Mhm.
And
I wonder how
they're
you can exercise a troll off the internet.
huh?
I wonder if you can exercise a troll off the internet. using holy water and Ed and Lorraine Warren. You know, you could probably get rid of the trolls
Yeah,
that way. But
but the internet trolls is just taking the word from what we know
yeah.
from mythology and applied it to a new meaning, which is
Yeah. By the way, I thought I'd
probably
go,
not correct.
but I have to apologise to you on this one because I've got to go because my medications have just kicked in. So I'm gonna go to bed. I've got to go to bed, but I would say if you could carry on talking, if you don't mind, I'll probably end up listening in. I apologise. I normally would have stayed the distance, but I'm starting to drift. So
Okay,
take care.
well, take care, Simon. uh, Probably show the internet trolls the sun, out, take them out of their parents' basement. Um, like I said, a different all these different trolls culture have their own meaning of trolls. It's like we have all the different versions of Bigfoot, fairies, goblins, you name it. Okay, take care, Warhorse. Um, since the Fey people and trolls and all that is a balance in nature, you could see you would notice that if we didn't have everything, yeah, every culture does have their stories of little people or trolls and you name it. And sometimes the fairy tales are wrong or some of the legends are wrong because we usually see one side as them being evil or the other side they're good, but they're actually both and in between where where it balances out. Um, Excuse me. Now, I was going to read off other books that use trying come trolls in the like gnomes, Beowulf, Harry Potter, C.S. Lewis, The Golden Compass. Yeah, except for the Brothers Grimm's, they were more kind of gory in in places. There's a movie back in 1986 called Trolls, starring Noah called starring Noah Hathaway, who was Boxy on Battlestar Galactica. June Lockhart, Anne Lockhart, her daughter was in it, and Julia Louise Dreyfus. That's one of a version of the trolls. Yeah, the sequel was more of towards goblins than trolls. Other movies that had trolls is the Ass Lad, Bridge to Terabithia, Trolls, Troll Hunter, Enchanted, Ernest Scared Stupid, Frozen, Hansel and Gretel the Witch Hunter, and all the Snow Queen movies. We don't use, yeah, Ernest, Ernest Scared Stupid had trolls in it. You know what I think they did? They used the trolls that was used in that movie Trolls because they have the same design and features and all that for both movies. I watched them fairly all of them, and some stuff before he did the Ernest movies. Yeah, yeah. That that's why they call it a comedy, freaky. Yeah, I I never heard about watch or seen them. Solstice. You know, all these video games and games that based on fantasy do have trolls and all these other type of creatures in them. Yeah, I like when Urs go ooh ooh ooh. Who wants to kiss a troll? Would he? Would that troll become a prince or princess? What would you want to close your eyes in a comedy movie, freaky? Slimy mess. You don't want to kiss the green slime. Have you seen that movie, The Green Slime? It's an old space movie. One touch of the tentacle arm, you get electrical shock and get be burned. You get friction when you kiss that green slime. No, not that green slime. It's a science fiction movie, horror movie of the '60s. That's long before it was a 1960 horror science fiction movie, like being trapped on a spaceship, or what you what would you call today as the International Space Station? Now the yep, you probably miss a lot of them, freaky. Um, Trolls, you have. I think I could probably put goblins, orcs, hobgoblins, orcs, bugbears, you name it, into that category of monsters. There's been new monsters of legends created for games that's based on the trolls as well. You have different ones are trolls from, like in the mountain trolls, hill trolls, forest trolls, river trolls, um, plain trolls, ocean trolls, water trolls, you name it. I guess it depends on the environment where they're living at. So once you get through all the different types of trolls, through the different culture, through the different regions of the world, and through from literature, games, you name it, you could probably have different types. Like we have the different races of us, or the different tall people or small people, you name it. Like Andre the Giant probably would be like the very tall Norse troll that's monstrous, and then I'll probably be fit into the later version, and then probably somebody like Warwick Davis would be the Celtic version of the trolls. I used to watch them on TV a lot, but the, the, I just used them for an example of how we could actually use actual people to describe different creatures because of how they look. In the days in old Greek mythology and all that, let's say somebody that we know today looks today. Let's say a housewife with her hair, yeah, height, weight. Let's say somebody, uh, a housewife like a mother-in-law, have her hair all curled in bunches and their hair's some hair sticking up like snakes. And somebody said, "That's Medusa." Yeah, there's there's lots of people that been have grown taller than. Okay, Beth. Um, the I think some of the giants that we see today, in like in professional wrestling and all that. I was making an example of how somebody can be called a troll back in the old days in the North mythology, and I put that as a mother-in-law have her hair up and riled like that, and somebody called that's Medusa. You know, it's a way. I was trying to say somebody being insulting somebody who's look different. Yeah, we have basketball players and wrestlers 7 feet tall in order. Oh, you think that, huh? Yeah, yeah. That's that's what I'm trying to say is that people see someone that looks different and say that looks like a troll. That person looked like a gorgon, or Beth is the size of a hobbit. Let's say. See, it's something assuming somebody as being diverse. We sometimes mistaken hairy man as being. uh, Sometimes people mistaken hairy man as a beast, you know. Like the bearded lady. It's more of a mutation in the genes. Oh, they've been called other things freaky. Rare roofs. Hey, David. Werewolves or monkey man or probably sometimes mistaken for Bigfoot. Uh oh. We're going to have competition of two comedians in the chat. Devilish and freaky. uh, like like I said, mistaken identities occur all the time throughout history or throughout all the different cultures around the world. Yeah, and so was the taggy dog too. Are we gonna go there, freaky? um, yeah, it freaky. I think you wasn't here when I said that I changed up a bit to make it more family friendly. Yeah, I think that's why Simon didn't want to get into my channel into trouble. I said this life as for all ages. So we won't go that far down that rabbit hole. Um Yeah, yeah, yeah. When we, I'll do some of more over 18 stuff in the future, but I'm trying to make some of this stuff more educational for the whole family. And now the term troll or trolls is being labeled. Yeah. Hey, say, I hope I pronounce it right. Sadia. How you do, Sadia? I hope I pronounce her name right. Um. Okay. I have I have a speech problem, so it's hard for me to pronounce things right. um. Like I said, now the term they use trolls for. um. They're using it for. Th- Thank you for. Okay. Take care, Freaky. Hi, Grandma Ducky. Um. um. What they were saying used the word trolls these days, not what it originally means. Of course, you could probably call them that, compare them to um the mystical legend of the trolls of folklore, mythology, all that. What they're using the misusing the term trolls today is what they call internet trolls. I call them more like cyber bullies than anything. No, it wasn't meant for internet trolls. It's like the trolls that you see in the three Billy. goat growths and all that. So what we see the term troth. Thank you, Sadia. Um, yeah, that's why I don't like to call them internet trolls. I more call them cyber bullies. That way we could use the word trolls in the proper way. Like the mythical story of folklore tales and legends and all that. Uh, any questions you like? Yeah, that's what we that's what I was trying to do, make this an educational for kids. It depends because some of them do look troll like. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, take care, Amanda. Like I like I said, yeah, everything magical beings are called fae. Yeah, true solstice. That's that's why I have mods in here to make sure we keep this family friendly because I know people will have kids with them to learn. Like we'd be talking about, yeah, I'm not certain if Bigfoot is toward that. Yeah, that was what I said earlier, is that if they were all evil, it would be nothing but chaos. And if there's chaos, we would be having disasters after disasters after disasters. So there is a balance. There's good, neutral, and evil to keep everything in balance, the way nature is. Yeah, true. Yeah, and I think Bigfoot could be also be in the branch of the human human category as well. Okay. Take care, Sadia. Have a good night. Yeah. Now, trolls could be bodyguards of the Fae as well, too. We don't know. Yeah, there's way too much to learn from this field. That's all. We all know stuff that would make us have some knowledge of the ancient legends like Greek mythology, Roman mythology, and all that, and we could apply all that knowledge to today's cryptid fields. The North legends, the Greek legends, the Roman legends, you name it. Everything that we know from the past, we could use to build on what we. Yeah, true, Beth. If we stay open minded, we would learn so much more on this, and from what I gather, is the goat man is more like the satires of Greek mythology. See, that's open minded, where we're learning that the tales of these ancient legends, tales, myths are being handed down, recycled over the years and time throughout all um, all parts of the world, especially here in the U.S. Have you ever think of somebody who called the goat man Pan or satire? Because when the goat first reports of the goat man came out, nobody haven't really heard about the ancient Greek and Roman mythologies of the half man, half goat, except for the scholars. So that's the possibility that we have to look at. Now we're learning and we apply that the goat man could be related to the ancient Greek mythology of the satires or the Roman legend of the fawns. So, as especially in the Beirut story, it's like there was a monster in that tale of Beirut that he killed before he got to the place where Grindelwald's doing all the killing. A water creature that almost sounded almost like Nessie of Loch Ness Monster. Then we start to get better understanding that these tales and cryptids and all that have been spotted a lot longer than we ever thought they have been. It's like the different types of hairy hairy people. Since Bigfoot's related to hairy people, there's been reports of different hairy type man-like people in BC times in European nations. So we're learning more and more as we go along, and that when we start applying these layers of history and reports, then we start getting more understanding that these sightings happen a lot longer than we ever thought of. Like trolls, people still claim they see trolls today, or brownies, fairy tales, or fairies, pixies, gnomes, brownies, you name it, gremlins. The tricksters, it's almost like an understanding of more of a comparison to ancient Greek mythology and all that. The trickster owl or trickster coyote and that usually appear as animal form, but standing up like a man would on two legs. So could some of that be a residue from past legends and tales, like the Mothman could be a misidentification of one of the tricksters. Could be, Beth. That I had trouble catching any fireflies. Yeah, with me being slow and clumsy, it's hard for me to catch even one. Yeah, that too. Or it could be the version of the Owl Man. You don't know. But there's a Native Americans anti trickster called the Trickster Owl. That's why we need to learn more about these cryptids to understand that what they are really. Are they really half man, half beast? Or are they mythical creatures? Or they're supernatural? Or of a Native American rich that turn into a trickster? Well, the tricksters are not evil per se, like the skinwalkers. The skinwalkers are the ones where the male riches are Native Americans went to the dark side. Yeah, yeah, there, yeah, so much to learn, but we don't know how we could be able to find any evidence of these creatures yet. Who know? What, you don't want us to learn anything about them? We're we're not saying these beings are what they are. We're just saying they could be. We just need to learn from them. What are they? Are they really dangerous, as reporters say? Are they like the goat man? Yeah, most of the skinwalkers that I heard about that people are Native Americans are afraid to speak about. I think the ones that you're talking about is that some of the elders are the, I think that they say tricksters because of yeah, that's what Warhorse was saying. Okay, uh, Warhorse said that there are some that can be dangerous because of their temperament, and then you have Bigfoots who are not dangerous because they run. Hi, Emi Merthier, Emerther, can't pronounce. Yeah, that's what he's talking about, the balance, because there are some Bigfoot that are dangerous and others are not. It depends on which type they are. The Eddie is reported to be the dangerous type ones out there. Emerther. Okay. I have a speech problem, so it's kind of hard for me to pronounce the or names. Emer there. There. And any mammal that will protect other beings as well. I read the story about that Ost, Osterman who was abducted by Bigfoot in British Columbia in the early 1900s. Um, the Bigfoot that abducted him was said to be more curious about him than anything else. Picked him up and took him to his family. So no harm was done to him. So I don't know if that story is true or not, but it probably showed the good, probably be an example of the goodness of Bigfoot instead of the badness. Um, yeah, yeah, and they could also eat their young too. Some on probably on accident though. Thank you. I'm not calling Bigfoot the one either. I'll back way out of that. Yeah, Warhorse said stuff about scouts and that, so it's probably a scout. We call them Girl Scouts cookies. Leveless. Hmm. Would that make them the Cookie Monster? Yeah. We we have people. We do have seen stuff making fun of these fays and that. Yeah. Um, I noticed that there are videos out there that some people make fun of the phase or Bigfoots and all that. Um, I would like to see Mama Bigfoot carry her young in her mouth for up to 3 years. We could probably save that for the when we do the live stream on reptilians. Um, other what I was seeing people making go out in the wilderness making fun of Bigfoot and that. And I think what you don't want to piss off these people off or these little folks and Bigfoot and them off if you're making fun of them. I know you wanted to make a comedy skit or something, but for entertainment, but do it more kindly. Hey, Elizabeth. So, yeah, I noticed something in the on YouTube earlier called Swamp Sniper. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. You don't want to make fun of fairies or Bigfoot or ghosts or anything because it's kind of be rude to them. I, I know was watching something earlier on YouTube called Swamp Sniper. He does airsoft battles, but he used more like used mythological creatures and all that in it. Earlier, he had um, death. Um, the video had him where he said he shot and killed Bigfoot, but those guys wearing like a gorilla type outfit that looks like Bigfoot. Yeah, but he doesn't go out into the in the middle of the woods to do that. He does it on his property where he built had buildings and all that. So that's fine. That's he was doing humor with his video. Uh, but when you start having somebody like throwing Slender Man into their habitat, when we don't know, I think Slender Man is not real. It's just made up. But when you throw that kind of thing out in the middle of the woods and making fun of that, I'm not sure about how Bigfoot would think of Slender Man. Slender Man is nature. I would never heard of him until it was made up on the internet. Dev. The orange origin of Slender Man came about in early 2000s. It's another way for people said the devil made me do it to kill people. Yeah, or the rake is another one. I think the Slender Man is probably more something else in native stories. Hmm. Okay, Beth. Didn't know that. All I heard, all I know is that people, especially on the news, said it's been made up in early 2000 on the internet. So that's probably. Uh, I think a rake is more. It's called something else. Yeah, they want to confuse people, Beth. Yeah, it's probably more of have to do with the different names of different things. The rake was made up from the creepy pasta stories. Yeah, that true. Uh, yeah, it's. I guess people are writing these stories up and all that. See, I'm not knocking on the native stories about the type of Slender Man figure, but some of these like the rake and all that is probably from somebody's imagination from a dream or something. Like nobody doesn't know what when dingo when dango I can pronounce it when dango is what it looks like. Yeah, that's what. Thank you, David. I have trouble pronouncing these names, so Wendigo. Yeah, Slenderman is like a fiction. You're right on that, Solstice. It's because it became popular in creepypasta stories and all that, just like the rake. But does the oh, death? We're not talking about a vehicle. Yeah, we're not talking about a vehicle. Yeah, yeah. No, I. This is the name of my wrestling character on Anki Southern gaming channel, but it's the part of a Spitfire character that I wrote about called is the character is a dragon in a book that I written. Yeah, it's yeah. Native Americans don't want to speak a lot about some of these bad juju stuff a lot because they're afraid that they it will come those bad jujus will come harm them. Um, what else are we going to talk about? I guess. Mhm. Yeah, a lot of the Navajo tribe don't want to talk about skinwalkers. True solstice. Let's recap what I talked about. We're talking about the tropes of the Scandinavian folklore or the North mythology, monsters in size, magic powers, hostile to man, lives in castles and haunted their surrounded areas after dark, burst into flames or turn to stone in sunlight. Later tales, they are often man-sized or smaller, live in mountains, sometimes steal human maidens. In northern UK and Ireland, settlers of Celtic areas are called trolls, appears as small, malign creatures who drill in mounds or near the sea. Trolls are portrayed as destructive or live under bridges to menace travelers. They're nature beings, and they're used in a lot of mediums, mostly in books, games, toys, cartoons, movies, and then we talk about yeah, devilish. It is when I was speaking about skinwalkers, I was talking about the Navajo tribes earlier. So black-eyed beings or the black-eyed children you think about. And some natives, yeah, Navajo, the Navajos is Native American tribes in the Southwest, mainly in Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico areas. The Four Corner states mainly with their reservations. The Skinwalker Ranch is in Utah. I am more part of. I'm learning, trying to learn stuff about Cherokee. Yeah, it has everything to it. So sis. Yep, he is Beth. You hit the nail on the head. Yep. Yeah, I want to do a live stream on Native American culture, folklore, and all that in the future. I think we have a different spelling for that tribe here in the U.S. Dev. Mm, what? Yeah, I don't know what Emirth there said. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, my next live would be tomorrow. We're going to talk about Medusa, Gorgons, Nagas, and the snake people. I probably have to reschedule my time because other people have started having the live stream at the same time tomorrow as me, so I'll probably have to do it. The Wendigo probably would take over Bigfoot. Hey, Rattletrap, how are you doing? Was fixing to end the live stream. Yeah. Well, I thank Simon to be my panel guest tonight, and I thank everybody who participated in the chat this evening. I'll probably do the live stream at 5 p.m. tomorrow, but I'll probably change it. Hi, Bob. Well, I was about to close out the quote in the live stream, Bob. You just missed it. Okay, have a good evening, everybody. Thank you and take care.